Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. I've been listening to these records this week and I felt like I should talk about them because I do get asked numerous times what my favourite punk albums of all time are. And it's a hard thing to pinpoint down to just one because I like so many records for so many different reasons. And punk records especially, since punk is my favourite genre, I don't know if these records are like my all-time favorite, but they're records that definitely had an impact on me and my love for the genre. These 5 records I'm going to talk about today come from 5 different countries, so it's pretty damn exciting to go through these and share them with you now. And if you like any of these albums and you've got really good stories to share about these records, please leave a comment because I love the community that we have here on the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. We're all vinyl nerds and we talk about our love for these bands, and that's really cool. I love reading your comments about this music. So the first record I want to talk about is Jello Biafra and DOA, this collab that they did called Last Scream of the Missing Neighbours. When I heard this record, I thought this was the best thing that Jello has done ever since the Dead Kennedys. I mean, the Dead Kennedys are flawless. There's no way of, bettering what is perfection. This gets pretty close. Everything about this record rules. The guitar tones, the drum sounds, the actual structures of the songs, just everything about it is just so good. It has this really nice dark guitar feel to it. But especially on the last song, Full Metal Jack-Off, which takes up one whole side of the record. Last Scream of the Missing Neighbours is 6 tracks of high-energy, kick-ass punk rock released on Alternative Tentacles. You've got awesome Winston Smith cover art. And I do believe that this record has been out of print for a long, long time, but on Jello's podcast recently, he did say that I think this one is going to come back in a print because they'd lost the master of it or something for a long, long time. This hadn't been done. But finally, for those who missed out on this record, you'll be able to get your own copy of this album, and it is essential. If you've never heard it before, jump onto YouTube or wherever and check it out because, yeah, it's flawless. Really is. They do a really good version of The Animals, We Got to Get Out of This Place on here too, which seems to just fit with the entire feel and sound of the record. Power is Boring is such a killer tune. I Wish I Was Back in El Salvador just rules. The opening track, That's Progress, is just such a good song. Like, this whole record it's 10 out of 10. This record is a 10 out of 10 record. And I don't say that about a lot of... Actually, I do, so forget I said that. But yeah, this album, essential listening. The next record I want to talk about is a band from Germany. It is the Sperm Birds with the album Something to Prove. Now, the earliest memories I have of this record is I did have it on tape for so many years. A friend taped it for me and said, you need to get into this, because I was into skateboarding, and there's a song in here called My God Rides a Skateboard, which is funny because My God Rides a Skateboard too, and that's Tony Hawk. But anyway, the Sperm Birds, Something to Prove, is one of the greatest punk records to ever come out of Europe. It is just flawless from start to finish. It is funny. There's got some controversial lyrics on here, but it is just such a great record from start to finish. I just remember the very first time I heard the actual opening track, Something to Prove, I was just blown away. And speaking of that song, I do remember the Melbourne band Caustic Soda were in Adelaide. They were playing Vans Warped Tour, and we had this album on tape going in the car, and I just remember all of us in the car singing along to Something to Prove, and I thought that was really cool. But yeah, this album rules. First song I ever heard of this was a song called Try Again, but I didn't hear their version. I actually heard a version by a band called Tankard, a German metal band that sang about beer drinking or whatever, but they did a cover of the song Try Again, and that led me to want to find out who the Sperm Birds were, and thus discovering this record and falling in love with it. And yeah, I still play this all the time. It is just such an essential record. So if you've never heard Something to Prove by the Sperm Birds, do yourself a favour. Your ears will love you for it, because it's an album of perfection. Again, 10 out of 10 record. Now it's time to come home to an Australian band. This is the band from Queensland, or the Gold Coast I should say. The band is called Thrust. This was their debut EP, Go Insane. This is awesome. Like, I got into Thrust because they just seemed like they were one of the Waterfront bands, and I do have a big series on Waterfront Records coming soon, and I do talk about Thrust in it. They didn't actually release anything on Waterfront, but their stuff was distributed by Waterfront, so they will be making an appearance. It is 6 tracks, as you can see there. Life on the Dole is such a good song. They did a video for the song called Caught Out, and that is on YouTube, and you can check that out. This has been one of the cut corner ones. I guess it's because it's a promo, because it still has in here the promo like write-up. There's a promo sheet for Thrust. So it just basically talks about the history of the band and stuff like that. And then you've got these awesome reviews and stuff like that. So I actually got to interview the guitar player Theo in Queensland once, and we basically talked about so much stuff to do with Thrust, and he gave me these CDRs that have all like these demo tracks and these working tracks and rough mixes and stuff, which is awesome to hear, because it just blows my mind that these songs, you know, I have digital copies of all these songs. They did do an album called Mindless, but this is the EP Go Insane. Now, a little bit of trivia for those people who don't know, the drummer and singer of Thrust, Brendan, he was actually in the very first lineup of the Hard-Ons, but they weren't called the Hard-Ons, they were called the Dead Rats. And so then I guess what happened is he moved up to the Gold Coast or whatever it is and formed his own band Thrust, where he was actually singing and playing drums at the same time. So I don't know if that was a nod to Kesh, or maybe he was in competition. I don't know. But there you go. Very, very cool. If you can find it, it's probably cheap. I would buy it. Cox Barra's Shock Troops. This is an album I had on cassette tape for a very long time. Could never ever find an LP copy of it, but thanks to Pirates Press, they reissued them all. The very first time I ever went to Punk Rock Bowling in 2015, Pirates Press reissues were all there, and I bought all of them. And I was stoked because finally I got to have a physical copy of Shock Troops and not the crappy tape that I was listening to the album on for so long. This album rules. I know people call it street punk or oi, but I gotta say it, and I know this is controversial to say, but there's a lot of pop punk on this record before pop punk was a thing. Great English feel to this record. Just really, really good punk. And if you've never heard Shock Troops by Cox Barra, you cannot go wrong with this record. I highly recommend you check it out. There you go. Looks cool. And there's a back cover. It has all the lyrics and stuff. So there you go. You don't even need to an insert. You can just read the back cover. But yeah, Cox Barra. Still haven't seen them live. Would like to someday. I've heard that they're still amazing live. But yeah, this album rules and you all need it. And now it's been reissued, it doesn't cost you so much to go and get it. So that's awesome. I think I bought all of these records for like $20 each, which is a bargain. Absolute bargain. The last album I want to talk about today is this one. I bought this from Heartland Records. He got a lot of records in, and before he'd put them out, he actually just said, hey, do you want to have a look at this collection of records I got? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. I went in there, and this was the only record in there that I wanted. And I said, how much for this? And he said, $20. And so I bought SNFU's debut album for $20. I had never owned this on vinyl before. Finally, I got it. And released by the Better Youth Organisation, which is the guys from Youth Brigade. This is just a phenomenal record from start to finish. I love SNFU anyway. I was always searching for this record on vinyl. Could not find it anywhere. Not even a reissue. Just could not find this album at all. Could find the latest stuff that they'd done, but never was able to find the debut. So thank God this was sitting in somebody's collection. They didn't want it anymore and they sold it to Heartland Records. And thank you to Paul from Heartland for letting me have a look at that collection. Awesome record. There you go. There's the back cover. Really, really cool. Now this does have numerous versions of this front cover. I think this might be a second pressing because I think the original is an actual photo of this kid. And then it got changed to this drawing. And then it's been changed into a red and white cover. And it's just all this other stuff. But yeah. People tell me that this version's rare or something. I have absolutely no idea. I don't care because I just listen to it all the time because it's amazing. But yeah. 1, 2, SNFU. So good. So good. I find the lyrics in this album to be really ahead of their time. Really, really good songs and really good subject matter on a lot of these songs. So yeah, if you are interested in this sort of stuff, this sort of punk or Canadian punk rock, you would know SNFU anyway. But if you don't know Canadian punk rock and you don't know SNFU, then you really need to fix that. Start with this record and work your way forward. So yeah, and Chai Pig, rest in peace. So there we go, 5 amazing punk records that are in my collection that I still listen to on the regular all the time. Like I've been listening to them this week and I figured I would share them with you. If you don't know these records, please go out and check them out. If not, that's cool. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything I tell you to do. Just think that you're doing your ears a great disservice by not listening to these albums if you're not listening to them. But anyway, thank you once again for watching another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. We are in 2023 and I've got so much to come this year. I hope you're ready for that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care of each other. Look after yourselves. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.